Let's go to the UK now, and joining me now is UK writer and broadcaster Esther Krakue. Esther, thank you for your time. There's huge news out of London overnight with former Conservative Party Chancellor Nadhim Zahawi making the move to Nigel Farage's Reform UK party.
Britain needs Nigel Farage as Prime Minister. I know this may come as a surprise to my old party and to many Westminster watchers.
He joins more than 20 Tory MPs and councillors who have defected to the party since the last general election. But some Conservatives aren't happy about it, obviously, and have hit out at Zahawi, saying he's jumped on a gravy train. But he's likened the current state of Britain to the past struggles of Iraq. Esther, how damaging is this to the Tories, and how much of a coup is this for reform?
Well, on a practical level, it's not damaging at all to the Tories, because Nadhim Zahawi is a former MP, so he didn't really have much standing, obviously, within Parliament, but certainly not within the Conservative Party. And he's known for kind of switching loyalties. I mean, this is someone who lasted through the dying days of Boris Johnson's administration when basically everyone was resigning. And then he backed Liz Truss, who lasted not as long as a head of lettuce, which became an infamous meme in the UK. So it looks like his loyalty is quite cheap to buy. The problem that Reform has is that they don't want to be seen as Tory light. They don't want to take on too many former Tories, because then they just look like the old Conservative Party that put Britain through 14 years of poor governance, basically. And one thing he said that is correct is that the UK is in a very poor state. Now, in terms of political machinations, the reality is Nadhim Zahawi has been allowed to join Reform so that he can help with party donations. He's a self-made millionaire. But Nigel Farage has to be very careful, because this is also a man who had to pay the revenue £5 million to settle his tax bill. So he does have some controversies brewing around in his past as well. I'm sure he's eyeing up a lordship, like many people who are high-ranking Tories that tend to defect to Reform, just like Nadine Dorries and all of these people that were former Boris supporters. They're probably looking at some sort of sweet, cozy role if Nigel Farage becomes the next Prime Minister, which, according to the polls, seems quite likely at this point.
I mean, that would be incredible. And you're right, the polls do make it look like increasingly likely, but just to see how a minor party, not so minor anymore, has risen over there is astonishing to watch. And look, during this announcement, we heard Nigel Farage speak about the proposed social media ban for people under 16. Of course, we have that in effect here in Australia now. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch has backed the ban, but Farage says the country should wait and see how things go here before making any decision. Here he is.
I'm not very keen, generally, on banning things. My answer would be, let's see where Australia is in 6 months' time. Let's see whether this actually works. Now look, we have laws, of course, about what age you can start drinking. I mean, do those laws actually stop people drinking under 18? I'm not sure they do. I would say, let's see the Australian experiment, let's see how it works, and then make our minds up.
Esther, do you think he's right? And where do you think most Britons sit on this issue? Do you think people want a ban like this over there?
I think he's right. I think he has the right instinct, which is banning isn't always the solution, and that people tend to find a way around things when you ban them. Banning doesn't necessarily mean effectiveness, because another sort of folly of the British state is we never actually enforce the laws that we ban, because we can't afford to, or we don't have enough police officers or law enforcement to actually make things work. And so I do think he's right in that instance. But again, I don't think there are very many people that would scream about the benefits of people under the age of 16 being on social media. I, quite frankly, don't enjoy certain apps like TikTok and all of that, but that's because I think it's rotting the brains of young people who should be focusing on other things that are more valuable and less time consuming. But again, he's right in the sense that, banning things outright may not necessarily be the solution, especially if you don't know how it's going to work out. So I think he's right. I think most people in the UK also feel the same thing. There's so many things in Britain that are banned, you will not believe it. But you wouldn't even know, because people just find a way around it. I mean, people under the age of 18 are technically banned from using porn. I can tell you they're very much using porn.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be surprised to hear that. Look, there are concerns as well that the former Prince Andrew, the former Prince Andrew, and his ex-wife Sarah Ferguson will try to flog valuable royal items in a desperate bid to raise cash before they're evicted from the Royal Lodge at the end of this month. There are fears that private letters, recordings and jewels could all be auctioned off. Esther, it's now reportedly prompted the palace to enlist legal advisors, so that would suggest that there are some genuine concerns here. Do you think that the couple, former couple, could seriously be trying to do this?
I wouldn't put it past them. One thing that we do know about, Sarah Ferguson and the former Prince Andrew is that they've always been happy to make a bit of money off of their role within the royal family. That's actually apparently how Jeffrey Epstein came onto the scene and became such close friends with Prince Andrew. It was because he was trying to find a way to make some connections and some money for his then wife, and then just stayed friends with the financier. I wonder what of his tens of millions of dollars would have enticed him to do that. But I'm sure the royal family had obviously made provisions for this. We know that once Prince Andrew was stripped of his title, there was a likelihood that they could lash out. We know that Sarah Ferguson's finances haven't been in the best position for a long time now, and I think this was kind of probably the final nail in the coffin. So clearly the royal family are taking all precautions. The last thing you'd want to see would be some sort of intimately written letter by the Queen popping up on Amazon because Andrew wants to make a few quid. It would just be a nightmare.
Oh, it would be so undignified. But you're right, he doesn't have the best record. Look, very, very quickly before you go, there are talks that there could be a return to the UK for Prince Harry and Meghan for the Invictus Games, some of the preview games this year. Do you think that will likely happen, and what sort of reception do you think that Meghan in particular will get?
Well, it would be Meghan's first time in Britain in 4 years, so that will certainly get a lot of reception. And I've been seeing actually rumours of that in the newspaper. What we have been hearing is that Prince Harry is really keen to get his father involved, which I can tell you now Prince William will not let happen under any circumstances.
I think it would be nice for the king to have a relationship with his son again, but I dare say you're right, William won't allow it for the time being. Esther Krakue, thanks for your time.